Hey Magic Gathering fans, today I've got 5 decks for you, all in paper and all under $100. At the time of recording this, they all come complete with sideboards as well. Now I'm going to showcase these decks on Magic Arena because it's a good way to test the decks first before you maybe put some of your hard cash into the paper versions of these decks, so you can see these on here and you could maybe play them on here as well and give them a test, see if you like them first. But also it's just a pretty nice way to showcase the cards as well. So without further ado, we're going to go and take a look at these decks. All the prices are from my sponsors Cardmarket, and I will be putting up the total cost of each deck as we go along as well. Hopefully you'll find one of these that you will enjoy, and hopefully you've got all the cards on Arena as well, so you can give a practice before you go spend that wad, like I said. But let's get on to the first deck. So first deck we're starting off with here is a Jesky Convoke deck, based around Convoke. Now, Knight variant of Eos is what the deck is all about, really. When this creature enters, look at the top 6 cards of your library, reveal up to 2 creature cards with mana value X or less from them, put them into your hand, reveal the cards. Now, Convoke is your creatures can help you cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting this costs 1 mana of this spell, and you obviously will be able to have to tap the whites for that, so white creature or something like that as well, to pay for that cost. We got some pretty good. This is at the top end, obviously. We've got lots of low mana creatures in there. 29 creatures in total in this Convoke deck. So if you're a fan of creature heavy decks, then this is the deck that might be suited towards you as well. Just the 1 instant and 4 sorcery speed cards as well. A couple of artifacts and some enchantments. Now all of these decks I've resourced have all had pretty good, they're competitive, good win rates as well. So hopefully you will be able to get your results and maybe take down some of your friends in those FNM, or maybe just some of your opponents as well. So you want to be getting some creatures in early, lots of low mana creatures. There's a single nesting bot in there. Novice Inspector is good because it comes in and makes an investigate token as well. Because Warden of the Inner Sky has a really good ability where you tap 3 untapped creatures. This will just build up, get more counters on it as well. And when it has 3 or more, it then becomes Flying and Vigilance. And this is a great turn 1 play or turn 2 play when you're going in with your Novice Inspector first as well. Another one that comes in and makes a token is Spyglass Siren. Like I said, lots of low mana creatures. And the interesting part about this deck, if you've not played it before, is that when you're making these totem artifact maps or making the clues, you can then use Gleeful Demolition to destroy that target artifact and then create 3 1/1 red Phyrexian goblins. So you really are amassing a wide field. Now, the idea of this is it has 1 singles War Leader's Call in there. When a creature enters, the enchantment deals 1 damage, gives another bump. I like decks with more of these in, but this is a quite expensive card at the moment, probably the most expensive card in the deck. So this is probably why this version just has 1 in, but it's based more around the Convoke action. But the win con is using Ibadin's Recruiter. So once you've got all of these creatures onto the battlefield, you're looking for that 1 swing win potentially with this deck. By playing this, when this creature enters, creatures you control get +1/0 and haste, and obviously that gives itself +1/0 haste, so you're coming down with a 3/2 with itself, and then lots and lots of creatures. Now getting the Regal Bunnikin in at a certain time when you're then following it up with the Ibadin's Recruiter can sometimes just be a great win in itself, because this card is just power and toughness equals number of non-land permanents you control, so it can be huge in this deck as well. It does have lots of different types of one-off, so it is a bit of a toolbox deck. Frontline Rush is another way to give 1 creature that +X/+X to enter creature where a number of creatures you control are, and that is another little snifty way to sneak a little trick in to win a game as well. And then that unblocked potential creature, that could be huge when they've just left it thinking, oh, it's a little 1/1, we'll let that one through. They've got no other spells to play, and then you just whack that on there, and maybe you've got 10 creatures on, and you just win out of nowhere. I really do like this deck. Interesting one-offs like Frostcliff Siege as well. Timor, creatures you control get +1/0 and haste, and this will give it trample as well. So that's another good way of bumping up your creatures and giving them the ability to go over the top of little blockers as well. Sanguine Evangelist, a single one there, can make Battle Cry. Battle Cry is another good effect where creatures attack, each other attacking creature gets +1/0 as well. So we've got plenty of ways to pump up these little creatures that you're making and then just swinging for a massive win. Like I said, all of these boards decks do come with sideboards as well. You'll see mixture of mainly removal I've seen in these decks. So like Destroy Evil, good way to getting rid of bigger creatures. Shelter by Ghost is just amazing and can get rid of like non-land permanents, so planeswalkers, annoying enchantments, anything anything like that, this is great, and then gives that creature lifelink and ward too. So an absolute great card against the likes of mono red and everything like that. A full 4 of Protect the Negotiators, we can play this and tap for both the colours as a counterspell, and also the ability to make a soldier token as well. But if you feel like I'm going to give the sideboards here, not talk too much about the sideboards, because this is what they included in the price of this deck, but you may need in your local shops, you know what, certain people play, so you might have to swap up there, which obviously will affect the cost, but if it's already in your collection, then it's not going to cost you anything. But I will give sideboards to all these decks. And what's good about this, you do get to play with a lot of the lands, not just basic lands, because under $100 we see in a lot of standard decks. They're $300, $400, $500 a lot of these decks, but this one under 100, you're still getting some good lands in there, like Shivan Reeves, your Spara Bluff Canals, all under the price, Battlefield Forge. So all in all, with this sort of tricolour deck, you need those lands, and it just makes it ultra consistent. But let's get on to the next deck. So there's a good aggro deck, just above $70. So this one is like super cheap as well. This one, as you see, I can play all the decks as well, which is good. I see which ones suit your playstyle or suit my playstyle when I was playing. That's a good way for you to do it as well. Another slightly heavy creature base with 23, 2 instants and 9 artifacts and 4 enchantments in this deck, with a CMC average of 2.2. It's good looking at all the stats that you can look at Arena when you're putting your decks that can help you towards being paper. Now this one does play aggro, but it is a bit of a rampy deck as well. You've got your Llanowar Elves in there. You've also got Intrepid Stablemaster that can tap for green or add 2 mana of any colour to cast a mount or a vehicle spell. And we do have some of them in there, like the Hover Ship, that's good for exiling target tough creatures like Sheoldreds and everything like that. Lumbering World Wagon can just be massive with the amount of lands we get into play. When this enters or attacks, it's just going to make this crew vehicle bigger as well if you get to attack with it. And also Thunderous Velocipede. This one has Trample. It's a 5/5 3 mana. Crew is only 3. And we have a lot of high power creatures that can crew these vehicles for only 3 mana, like Wily Duke and also Trostani in there as well, a big 4/4. So this does what green does, adds in the power, or less mana than you're usually spending, which is really good. Seraphic Steeds in there. First strike lifelink. When this creature attacks while saddled, really easy to saddle. You've got the 4 power toughness that you need to saddle the steed, which is why it's good in conjunction with Wily and Trostani and various other creatures as well, like Ripspawn and also Guardian Sunmare. This, although just a 2 of, can turn in and just make those flying angels and really does help get the game going. The first strike is good as well, and then you just want to be saddling and then attacking in to get these. Different parts of removal, a single sheltered by ghosts in there, a seal from existence, and I've already spoke about Hovership, so it does well in the colours of white with having some exile and everything like that. Meanwhile, you're building up your board with this type of deck into having some massive big creatures. And then you get in the, the features of this, like I said, making angels. This one has 3 different abilities: give a target creature Death Touch, Vigilance, or get double strike to end of turn. Ripspawn is one of my favourite cards in the deck. This 4/4 for 4 mana. When at the beginning of your second main phase, if it's tapped, reveal the top X card logo or X its power. Put any number of creature or vehicle cards, different powers among them, into your hand. So it's a great way to go through your deck, and just an all-round really good creature for this. A couple of one-offs. This single one-off here, Felidar Retreat, I think is nice in there. It is a single way with the amount of lands that you can get in with your Lumbering World Wagon to keep triggering this, either making blockers with the 2/2, more creatures, or then just putting 1/1 counters on your creatures and giving them vigilance and just making them huge. I found this one, if you can stabilize when I'm playing on Arena, it can really, get the job done. Getting past that early, the early aggro decks. Although this is aggro, for me it's more aggro ramp from the way it plays when I've tried it. And all in all, a really fun deck. Quite simple lands on this one, just the 4 Razor and the 4 Verge, and the rest are basics in this. And obviously, like the rest, I've put in a sideboard here. Temporary Lockdown, just really good, gets everything 2 and under, and you can see the majority of our deck is 3 and above in this, so we can play around that. And then lots of removal, exercise, destroy evil. And then for the discard decks or anything controlling that wants to take away from your hand, Obstinate Boloth is a good card to come in and is another way to saddle with the steed. But all in all, aggro, very fun. The Selesnya deck is it's a decent deck. Then we go Gruul Delirium in this next one, so more of an aggro sort of deck as well. You do need that in this kind of standard at the moment. There is a few control decks out there as well, but you know, going underneath and playing some decent creatures is another good way to play. This has 21 creatures, so slightly less. More of the spell category in this one, 10 instants, 6 sorceries, and it does have 8 artifacts, 5 enchantments. Just the 22 land in this one because it's got an average of 1.7, so the average card is 1.7 to cast. And in this deck, for the money that you play this, I think it was around $88 at the time, you get quite a few nice lands that you'll be able to put into your deck as well. And that's always good to play in other decks as well, but the lands are important if you're a new player or a beginner. Lands are always what help decks consistency. So we're having a look at this deck. Delirium, Patchwork Beastie, a 3/3 that comes down, can't attack a block unless there's 4 or more. So you're trying to get stuff into the graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, you main with a card, and you're generally doing that. So this is really what you want turn 1. You can't block with it, but if you can just quickly get those cards in there, then you get the abilities of everything with Delirium. Fear of missing out. When this enters, discard a card, so another way chucking stuff in the graveyard. When this attacks for the first time, if there are 4 more card types, untap target creature. There's an additional combat phase, and that's what this type of Gruul Delirium aggro deck really wants to do. We've then got Keen Eye Curator. Putting stuff into graveyards and taking stuff out of opponents' graveyards is really good as well. Attacking opponents' graveyards, there's lots of different graveyard decks out there, and this has pay 1 be able to do that. And just for double green, it's pretty nice. As long as there are 4 more type cards exiled, this creature, it then gets +4 and trample, so then becomes a 7/7 trample beater. So your Raccoon Scout here can definitely turn into one of your best cards in your deck if you can manipulate the graveyards really well. Wicker Folk, this has haste and delirium, gets +1/1 as trample as long as there are 4 more cards. Pretty simple on this, but it's a 3/2 above the stats with haste as well, and the potential to get trample and that counter for just 2 mana. A single Tersa in here, because this is another good way. A good creature has haste, so like on theme with the deck, but it does have to discard 2 cards and then draw that many cards, so building up that graveyard for Delirium, which is what the theme of this deck is. So when this attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card at random, then you may play that card. Although that seems like counterintuitive to take stuff out with the Delirium, there's just a single one of these, and you might be able to, play a really good spell to replay from the graveyard as well, and hopefully then, it could be influential towards the game. This is a very toolboxy deck as well, as you're finding a lot of the decks are at the moment. So Channel Dragonfire's in there as a one-of, has Harmonise, so you can replay it from the graveyard if possible. A single Monstrous Rage, a single Torch to the Tower. Violent Urge is in there, a card that, obviously I've never played really because I don't really play Delirium, but this seems very good on theme of the deck. +1/0, gains first strike for that creature till end of turn. And then if there are 4 more card types, the creature gains double strike. So double strike, first strike, +1/0. Hopefully with a creature with trample as well, you're getting over and doing lots of damage. We then have Overprotect, another pump spell and protection spell as well. Dredge's Insight. This is another good way to mill cards and get the Delirium going. And Cancabloom is a situational card where you can destroy something, proliferate if needed, but usually used where you sack it to destroy, an artifact or an enchantment that can come down, because Lockdown is pretty dirty against this deck, so it's a good way to come in with there and have a little bit of removal for it as well. The only one to talk about is the Fly Trap. Delirium, when this creature enters or attacks, 4 more card types in there to shoot 2/1/1 counters amongst 2 target creatures. So much text on this one. If there are 6 or more card types though, double the number 1/1 counters on those creatures. So when you're putting loads of creatures on, that is where Cankaboom's Proliferate may be coming if you don't have any targets for this, and then Proliferate and make everything just that bit bigger as well. Like I said, the land base, pretty simple. You get to use the green and red lands here with Gorge, Forest, Ridgeline, and then Verge. Ridgeline also turns into a creature, paying for, turn into a 3/4 attacker as well. Sideboard for this one, pretty similar to other ones. Removal, you got Barrage in there, Torch the Towers, Obliterating Bolt as well, Outpaced Oblivion. This enters deals 5 damage just for 3 mana. You can sack it, deal 2 damage to each player. It doesn't have max speed as well, and hopefully we will have that. And then just various different creatures. Sunswine Lynx is good for stopping opponents gaining life. Very good sideboard card for this one to come in certain matchups as well. And then you got the Velocipede that we had in a previous deck. 5 5/5. Each vehicle control enters with a +1/1 counter if it's for us, otherwise enters with 3 additional counters. And then just a little bit more removal in a Braid and Pyroclasm as well. But all in all, a deck that's different to the others. You know, you need to be thinking what you're putting into deck, the time that you want to be playing your Seed of Hopes to mill cards at end of turns, maybe then setting off Delirium when you untap and go in. Life gain, a little bit of life gain to help against aggro decks as well. So all in all, a very fun deck. Then we go to blue, white, and Azorius is one of my favourite colours. This is a very fun deck, and it's just, you know, if you like playing blue-white decks, this may be the deck for you. Not really a controlling type of deck, but more based around artifacts and a more of an aggro deck, as you can see by the actual plethora of 1-drops there. And it doesn't have much going on at the top end. But what it does have at the top end, they might seem expensive, but it has affinity for artifacts. So this spell will cost 1 less to cast for each artifact. So the 3/4 doesn't normally cost 5 mana. You can generally get this down for 1 blue mana. Then you've got an early 3/4 flyer. Voyage Home, same sort of thing, making those artifacts cheaper for this, drawing 3 cards and gaining 3 life. I mean, even if you get this for the 2 colours of the blue and white, that's really, really good. Even if it costs you 3 mana, it's still decent as well. This has another deck with the bunny in as well. The rabbit bunnycorn's in there. Power and toughness equal to the number of non-land permanents you got, because we're going to be making a lot here. Novice Inspector obviously can make the clue tokens. Spiroglass will make more tokens as well, make map tokens. When you've got cards like this, they work very well in conjunction with your bunnycorns because they just become absolutely massive. Shelter by Ghost, premium removal for us in white as well. Helps protect a creature, giving it ward and lifelink, and adds as another non-land permanent to build up your bunny as well. Warden of Innsky, spoke about this in the first deck as well. This is just good in low mana creature decks and other artifact type of decks because you can help scry through, find what you need with this Warden. It's generally one that opponents will target straight away because there's a lot going on here for 1 mana in this as well. Little bit of counter magic, you got a couple of spell pierce in there. You know, not really much counter magic for a blue-white deck, to be honest. Potentially more in the sideboards. Nesting Bot, another 1-drop that comes in when it dies, create a colour. So it will replace itself as well. So lots of ways to get affinity for artifacts, to get your cheaper Memory Guardians, and then getting your Voyage Home a lot cheaper as well, and just cycling through your deck. Last card to talk about in this one is Leyline Axe. So if this card's in your open hand, you may begin with it on the battlefield, so just a free spell to play. Equipped creature gets +1/1, double strike and trample, just for equipping for 3, and you can put this on a massive bunny. Oh, it just gets so big. I've had these bunnies, and if opponent doesn't have ways to deal with it, then they're just basically in trouble because you're just going in with the double strike and trample and just winning sometimes in 1 attack. Good lands in this one. You get 4 creature lands that are put together in this one. So Restless Anchorage gets you the Flying Bird, and it makes a map token. Map token's good with the deck because it makes Bunnycorn bigger and affinity for your artifacts as well. Sideboard in this one adds in the more control in the sideboard and removal. So Authority of Councils to stop those aggro decks coming at you, and you gain life at the same time is a good one for this. Quite an expensive card to have in the sideboard. I think it is the most expensive card possibly in the deck as well. Shelter by Ghost is a really expensive uncommon as well, but Authority is not too bad. But you might be able to get some different types of printings if you can, maybe get a cheaper version. Elspeth's Smite, removal, destroy evil, counter magic, like I said, negate, more Voyage Home in case you get those controller matchups and you need to draw more cards. And this card is a great card to come in against, normally against the black decks, the Wrath decks, obviously not exile decks, but if you're playing against the Wrath decks that are just using lots and lots of removal, this can get rid of all your creatures, obviously, but then you bring them all back with Raise the Past, returning all those creatures with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. And as you see, that is the majority of the creatures that potentially, including Bunnycorn, will be coming back into the battlefield. So nice recursion in the graveyard for those heavy removal decks. But this is a deck that I really do enjoy playing. I've had some good wins with it as well. But now we're going to get on to the final deck. So the final deck is a Selesnya Toxic deck. Gearhulk Toxic. This card, really nice. I genuinely would try and squeeze nothing, but this was under $100. So when this creature enters, you may search your library for up to 2 artifact creatures or enchantment cards with mana value 1 or less, put them into your hand and shuffle. So we can obviously do that into this, so artifact or creature or enchantment cards. So we're getting Crawling Chorus, anything like that. We got our Skrilla for a nice artifact that can protect our creatures as well. And then the Venerated Rot Priest that we really do want. But hopefully we're getting these onto play a lot earlier. But this is still another good way, if we're struggling to find stuff like that, is then to go and get it with your Gearhulk. You see a few similar cards here in the removal. Shelter by Ghost is in a lot of decks. Just shows you really how good this card is. It's, like I said, it's really quite expensive in paper, so if you've already got them, you're definitely going to save yourself some pennies in there. There's not really much you can explain, change for this, for what this job does. You can obviously get straight out removal, maybe like the card Get Lost or something like that, but this generally giving you the lifelink and getting rid of anything is just, until they remove the creature, obviously. But then they're going to have to, they're going to have to wait a little bit with that ward too, which is what makes it a really good uncommon card. If you look at the stats on this one, 24 creatures, 11 instants, 10 artifacts, 3 enchantments, 22 lands with that low CMC average again of 1.7 in this deck. And just Selesnya is just pretty strong overall in Magic at the moment. So, this is why some of the decks are basically playing this as well. Divine Resilience. There's a few cards in here that I've never played with before. I've given obviously this deck a try, and I enjoyed it. For me, although Toxic is good, I found sometimes that it doesn't suit my playstyle for some reason sometimes. I don't know why. So this is what's good about Arena. You get to try these decks first and see if they suit you. Now, in paper, I would know that this one wouldn't be for me. But, one of the other decks is, like the Jesky Convoke deck I really like. And obviously the blue-white aggro deck is more my playstyle. It's not saying I can't play this deck, but it's sometimes about what you enjoy and what you want to play. So, that's what you have to look at in some decks as well. I'm not going to say like every deck is great and I've played it and it's amazing. I'm not one of those channels. I'm not like broken deck, stuff like that. But this deck is still pretty cool, and Toxic with Rot Priest is a very good deck. You're looking to just get those poison counters doing 10 or more, which is what appeals to a lot of players, because you're not having to do that 20 damage with this deck. You're looking at cards like this, and when it becomes targeted, we got Trash Town, we got Royal Treatment, lots of ways to protect these sort of creatures and target them and make them, more damage go to our opponent in the form of poison counters, Tyvor, Stand as well. That's an interesting card. That's not, I thought that was a pretty expensive for an uncommon as well. I'm pretty sure it was as well. So interesting card that I might be completely wrong and thinking of another card. It's another good way with the treatment to protect your creatures. And obviously Skrilla is another way as well. Slaughter Stinger. So this has Toxic too, so getting this through is decent, and protecting this is good as well. So whenever another creature you control with Toxic attack, it's +1/+1 to end a turn. But you're all about the Toxic in this. Sentry, removal, value 3 or less though, so it is stipulation, but a nice blocker for the aggro decks. And Bloated Contaminator, 4/4 trample, like I say about green, bigger stats than they usually are. Toxic one, when this deals combat damage though, you get to proliferate, so you can add an extra bit of toxicity, poison onto your opponent as well. Gearhulk, love this card. It's nice to have something at the top end of this for those games that do go longer, which is, I think, this deck sometime was missing. So having a couple of these there, I'd probably try and squeak a third in if I could. But that is a price thing as well, to probably put this one over the 100. I'm thinking as well. Sideboard. Lots of situational removal, destroy evils, canker blooms. As you can see in all these decks, you might be able to get a couple together and be very close to them in paper. Definitely on Arena, hopefully that you can test these out, because there's a lot of similar cards in there, in the sideboards, some in the main decks as well. Dewdrop Cure. So this is return up to 2 target creatures, mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You want to be recurring those Rot Priests if there's a, playing against the black decks, heavy removal. You really do want to get them back on the field, which is what this is in there for. Going against the graveyard decks, then you've got Rest in Peace. Phyrexian Censor makes, slows down opponents and slows down those aggro decks where you can just go and get the 10 damage, they've got to get the 20. And Baloth is just another good card coming in against discard decks. Very, very good, and getting an early beater onto the field. But that is the 5 great decks, competitive decks, all in paper with sideboards under $100. So let me know which ones you're thinking you're going to play on Arena first maybe, and then build in paper. And come back to this video if you can once you've played Arena. Let me know then if you've built it after as well, after playing it, you liked it, done well. You know, Arena sometimes can just give you bad matchups, like in anything. So it's just a good way to just feel for the deck and see if you just enjoy playing it as well. But yeah, let me know what you think of this video. I really do appreciate if you give it a big thumbs up, and thank you to all the new people watching. And if you aren't and you want to subscribe to this kind of budget magic and everything like that, I do lots of different stuff on this channel, lots of different decks, so many different decks, then this is the place for you. Thanks for my Patreons. That's another thing to look at if you want to support me more. If you've been watching for a while and you enjoy the content, you can go and support me further there. But you lot take care. I'll see you on the next video.